This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Oil prices rose on Thursday, extending gains from the previous session, after the killing of a Hamas leader in Iran raised the threat of a wider Middle East conflict and concern over its impact on oil. Global benchmark Brent crude futures rose 78 cents, or 1%, to $81.62 a barrel by 0800 GMT, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 79 cents, also 1%, to $78.70 a barrel. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in the Iranian capital Tehran on Wednesday. His death came less than 24 hours after the most senior military commander of Lebanon-based militant group Hezbollah was killed in an Israeli strike in Beirut.
U.S. oil demand rose to a seasonal record in May as American cars guzzled the most gasoline since before the pandemic, data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, showed on Wednesday. Total crude oil and petroleum products supplied, the EIA's proxy for demand, rose by 792,000 barrels per day, BPD, month-over-month to 20.80 million barrels of oil per day in May, the data showed. That is the highest monthly figure since August, and a record high for the month of May. The data marks a significant reversal in the trajectory of U.S. oil demand. Weekly updates from the EIA had pegged oil demand for May at just around 20 million barrels of oil per day.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia may raise prices for crude it sells to Asia for the first time in 3 months in September, tracking a rise in Middle East benchmark Dubai, traders said on Thursday. The official selling price for flagship Arab light crude to be loaded in September for Asia is expected to rise by 50 to 80 cents a barrel from the previous month, 4 refining sources told Reuters in a survey. The price spread between the first and third month cash Dubai widened in backwardation by about 80 cents a barrel last month, Reuters data showed, as spot demand for Middle East crude rose after supplies from the US and Europe became more expensive for Asian buyers.
Asia's crude oil imports dropped to the lowest in 2 years in July as demand remained weak in top importer China and eased in number 2 India. A total of 24.88 million barrels per day, BPD, arrived in July in Asia, the world's biggest oil importing region, down 6.1% from the previous month and the lowest on a daily basis since July 2022, according to data compiled by LSEG Oil Research. For the first 7 months of the year, Asia's imports averaged 26.78 million barrels of oil per day, down 340,000 barrels of oil per day from the same period in 2023. The ongoing weakness in Asia's oil imports undermines forecasts for robust growth for the region's oil demand from leading exporter group the OPEC. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. India's Federal Ministry of Steel has asked the Trade Ministry to investigate cheaper steel imports from China and Vietnam. A government source directly aware of the matter told Reuters on Wednesday, as New Delhi grapples with rising imports. India, the world's second biggest crude steel producer, turned net steel importer in the fiscal year through March, and the trend continued with finished steel imports scaling a 5-year high in April and May, according to provisional government data. We have said that the Trade Ministry should investigate these imports and offer its recommendations to the Finance Ministry, which will take the final call, the source told Reuters, declining to be identified as the discussions are not public.
London copper kick started the month on a softer note, weighed down by concerns about demand from top consumer China, even as the US Federal Reserve hinted at a September rate cut. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange was down 0.5% to $9,183 per metric ton, as of 0714 GMT on Thursday, after declining 5.9% in July. Thursday's losses came after a private sector survey showed that China's manufacturing activity in July shrank for the first time in 9 months.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Ukrainian Grain Traders Union UGA cut Ukraine's 2024 combined grain and oilseeds crop forecast by 2.8 million metric tons to 71.8 million tons due to a heatwave, the union said on Wednesday. UGA said the 2024 harvest could include 23.4 million tons of corn, 19.8 million tons of wheat, 4.95 million tons of barley, 12.8 million tons of sunseed, 4.8 million tons of soybeans and 4.3 million tons of rapeseed. Another downgrade of the harvest forecast for the new season was caused by the hot and dry weather in Ukraine in July this year, which had a negative impact on the potential yield of late grains and oilseeds, UGA said in a statement.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.